Look guys, I don't know what to say. I don't even know what to tell you. I bought NFL Blitz 99 and I don't have a good reason other than the fear of missing out or FOMO. I had no idea what FOMO even meant. My teenage daughter told me about like 2 years ago. She's like, Dad, it's the fear of missing out. Like, oh man, I see all these social media posts of things and I want to go to this party or I wasn't invited to or something like that. And in this case, I'm seeing all this hype around NFL Blitz because Arcade1up is releasing an NFL Blitz cabinet. If you haven't heard that, there was some controversy around it because they had to remove late hits, and you know, it's really not Arcade1up's fault in this case. It was the NFL. They decided, yes, sure, you can release the game, but you can't have late hits in it. And they have about, 90% of the roster in place. Of course, there's a whole bunch of legal ramifications around that. I can't even imagine how you would negotiate the licensing for a game like this, but they are coming out with it, and yes, late hits are not there. But that's really not the fault of Arcade1up. That is really the NFL saying, look, you can do the game, you just can't have late hits. So it is what it is, but all of that FOMO or fear of missing out, let's look at the official definition. All right, it's an emotional response to the belief that other people are living better, more satisfying lives. Wow, that's crazy. Or that important opportunities are being missed. And in this case, that important opportunity was owning NFL Blitz. So I went out and I bought this cabinet. I couldn't help myself, and now I'm part of this NFL craze that's happening. But we love football in this house. My son plays football. We're big fans. We go watch him all the time. So it makes sense to have the game. And I used to play it a ton with my buddies on the N64. We used to play it for hours. We used to work at this sports store in the Emerald Square Mall in Massachusetts. And we would get out of work together and we'd run over to his house and we'd play NFL Blitz. So in this video, we're going to take a look at Blitz, some of the unique features of Blitz, maybe the reasons why Arcade1up made a decision here or there, and why I decided to get the official cabinet. Before we go any further, I want to talk about the hardware. This is running the Midway Seattle hardware. This was responsible for Blitz, Blitz 99, Blitz 2000, and Blitz 2000 Gold.
The Seattle hardware was responsible for several other games. BioFreaks was an unreleased prototype that was slated for this hardware, but the final arcade release was canceled. The prototype ROM was later dumped to MAME, and that's the footage you're watching now. If curiosity gets the best of you, you can check out a completed version of this game on the N64 or the PS1. The Seattle hardware also ran Carnival, a really popular shooting game, and the lesser-known driving title called Hyperdrive.
Most of these games had their game data on hard disk drives, so mechanical spinning drives. I hate those. They're old school, they're gonna fail. I call them spinning rust. This one luckily has a memory card solution in it, and I would highly suggest if you have Midway games of this time period, just replace those spinning rust drives with a memory card solution.
Another unique aspect of NFL Blitz is the use of a 49-way joystick. We've covered this before with games like Sinistar, but there are several other 49-way games: Arch Rivals, NBA Showtime, Gauntlet Legends, Gauntlet Dark Legacy, to name a few. I was pleasantly surprised that Arcade1up took the extra step to incorporate a 49-way stick to make the gameplay experience as authentic as they could, as far as the controls go. This is something I have to praise them for, and I'm quite impressed that they did this. How well it works, I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to pick one up just to try it out. There are some really interesting settings for NFL Blitz that can be found in the original PCB manual. There are dip switch settings to run the game using an 8-way joystick versus the 49-way joystick I showed you, but it's not recommended for the best gameplay experience. There are dip switch settings for 2 different resolutions, standard and medium resolution, as well as 4 different frame rate settings called graphic speed. The game can be run at 44, 47, 49, and 51 frames per second. The new 1UP offering will run at 60 frames per second, as one would expect, so this may make the game seem a tad bit faster. I don't want to harp on this, but the violence in this game was really always an issue for the NFL. The original version was so violent that the NFL didn't bless it till changes were made. So it's no surprise that in 2022 they decided they needed to tone it down even further. In an interview with Den of Geek, Mark Trammell said, "We showed them the game and they said, 'Can you excuse us for a moment?' We left them in the office alone. About 15 minutes later, they came out and they said, 'We need to wash our hands of this product, and we're going to give you your money back, and we can't go forward with this product. It's just too violent.'" Obviously, it was later toned down and approved, but Midway loved over-the-top violence, so I can see where omitting late hits in the game is something that will turn some people off. Personally, I'd rather have an option to experience the game in 2022 versus not having it at all. But that's just me.
Okay, so the question is, why is NFL Blitz still hot and popular in 2022? I'll tell you why. Because honestly, they don't make games like this anymore. They just don't. Games have gotten sort of soulless and lifeless, and these games were fun and aggressive and kind of something anybody could pick up and play. You didn't have to even be a football fan. I love football, but you don't have to love football to play this game. Oh, no, interception, son of a bitch. But yeah, you don't have to love football to play it, which is awesome. So I think this pick up and play nature of the game, the fact that the games were over the top, they were animated, it wasn't like a simulation game like the ones you find today, I think it just hits on all marks, and it actually attracts an audience well beyond the sports fan, just because literally, like I said before, anyone can play it. Come on, man. Son of a bitch.
Look, there's no doubt that NFL Blitz is a fun, playful football game that anybody can pick up and play, even someone that isn't a football fan per se. But the other thing that's kind of interesting is you start looking at the modern console football games, and they're very much simulation games versus these really fun animated over-the-top versions of football where, you know, you could understand the rules of football, but you also could have no idea what you're doing and still have a really good time. So it'll be interesting to see the reception of a game like this with a newer audience. And they're adding online gameplay, which is really cool. So even though I picked up the original, I still think I want to take a look at the Arcade1up version to compare the two, and plus it'd be really neat to play with some of my buddies that don't have this, that are Arcade1up fans, so we can kind of get a chance to play it online and see how that all goes. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I think I picked this one up at a good time because it seems like whenever Arcade1up releases a product, it kind of re-energizes the community around that game, and people tend to go pick up the original one. So I think I got in early enough because prices tend to go up when that happens. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, put a comment below. Definitely give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing to the channel. That's it for now, guys. We will see you on the next one.